Hey guys, welcome to Massive Iron Live. I seem to have a giant string on my head hanging off here. Let me just pull that off. How's it going, guys? Welcome to Massive Iron Live. It is August 16th. We're almost there. We're not almost there. We're almost there, but we're not almost there. We're almost to fall. How you guys doing? Appreciate you guys joining me. Massive Iron Live, the longest running lifting Q&A podcast thingy in the history of the world. So that's my claim, and it might be accurate, it might be inaccurate, but we can say whatever we want because it's it's the internet. Anyway, I appreciate you guys joining me. For those of you that are new here, every Friday at 11 a.m. Eastern, I run a live Q&A. Any question you want, diet, training, nutrition, off topic, feel free to post the questions up. I'm here to help. Don't feel like any question, has been asked 1,000 times before. Go ahead and post your question. We're here to, I'm here to help. We're here. The multiple personalities in my head, whatever it happens to be. I'm here to help, so don't hesitate. If your question doesn't go through, try shortening it. Sometimes longer questions don't go through the old YouTube filter. And sometimes naughty words don't go through, right? For whatever reason, YouTube has a filtering system, so not everything is going to go through. But if you are on, if you post something and it doesn't seem to be seen, just try rewording it or changing the words or removing your naughty words. So how's everybody doing, man? It's been a good month of training for me. I'm back on track. Yesterday on seated overhead press, I did, 210 by 5. So I'm getting back up to speed on those. Everything's going pretty well for my training. Deadlifts are coming up. Back work is where it should be. Overhead press work is where it should be. Bench, a little bit behind, but I'm going to get back up to speed within the next month. So overall, not bad. Before I get into things, a couple of things. Massive Omnibus. If you haven't checked out my new book series, Massive Omnibus, there's going to be at least 10 books in total. Okay. Right now, there are 4 books out. You can head over to my website, superlivingtoday.com. That's, where is it? Right up there, superlivingtoday.com. Search Omnibus, OMNIBUS. Book 4 is out. It has to do with back, shoulders, and arms. So a real good value. Each book has, I believe, over 300 pages. So right now you have over 1,200 pages of content. I'm working on the next book. The muscle building book is actually going to be 2 books. It's actually going to be over 700 pages of just muscle building content. So check that out, Omnibus. If you need coaching, check out the coaching tab. I'd love to work with you. And what else was I going to tell you? Last night after my workout, Bryce, who is on teammassiveiron.com, come join teammassiveiron.com if you want to get away from the book of faces or want a good lifting community. Bryce came on, one of the members, and we were talking about the rep goal system, which was basically one of the major focal points of my original book, Massive Iron. And I got the idea to put together a new workout for power muscle burn. Now, power muscle burn is my most prominent muscle building workout. When I originally put it out over at Muscle and Strength, I think it had over 4,000 comments. It was pretty big. And I put together a couple different iterations of it: power muscle burn, power muscle block, and power muscle bulldozer. And I came up with the idea last night to put together something called power muscle hell. Basically, we're going to combine the rep goal system. You can do 2 or 3 sets per exercise, doesn't matter. We're not going to get too crazy about how many sets you choose per exercise, but we're going to combine the rep goal system. And if you're not familiar with that, check out my book, Massive Iron, the rep goal system, at my website, superlivingtoday.com. Going to combine that with the power muscle burn system to create something new, something intense, and something hellishly good for muscle building. All right, let's dive into things. Before I do so, if you're tuning in late and didn't have a chance to answer a question, head over to Instagram. Excuse me. At Ben the Barman. I'd love for you to follow me over on the Instagram. Let's connect. And what else do I got going on? If you want to join our community, tmassiveiron.com. If you're not a part of a community, please join. It's an amazing group. We have a lot of good stuff going on, and I'd love for you to join us. So, what do we got going on? Let's dive into things. We got a lot of questions, a lot of comments to go through. Barbell Beauty from Team Massive for the record today. I have pink. They only had one purple left. I'm saving it for later. They have the pink Ultra Strawberry Dreams. We're dreaming in Ultra Strawberry today. We're dreaming in Ultra Strawberry. I can almost see my delt gains and my arm gains in this, and that still. I almost look like I lift. That's what we're drinking today. Yvonne from Team Massive. How's it going, Yvonne? Part of the community. If you join TeamMassiveIron.com, you can get form checks every week. So that's one of the great benefits. I just remember that because Yvonne sent me the incline dumbbell barrel press. Yvonne, I'm really enjoying your new 12-week bench. Great, man. I'm going to be trying that as soon as my right elbow gets up to speed. I had a little bit of a minor weird tweak on my right elbow, but I'm going to be running the bench program myself. I just want to give it a test run, see what I can tweak, but pretty solid program. If you guys haven't seen it, please check out my recent video on it or head over to Instagram. I have the structure for free. One of the things I try to do here on Massive Iron is give away as much as I can for free. And if you guys need help beyond that, if any of you guys ever need a custom workout, I do that as a service. Martine, St. Louis from the UK. What's going on? He's a client of mine. Glad to have you here. Feeling like a failure. Martin, we're going to just stop there because we do not care about our feelings. We only care about the process. Feelings kind of sneak in to derail us from the true focus. So whenever I see feelings, I'm not dismissive. I'm not trying to be full of machismo or whatever you want to say. I'm not trying to, be dismissive of emotion, right? We're sensitive modern men, but we do not care about feelings. We only care about the process. And the process says that in the long run, that's all that matters. What I look for in the long run is consistency over 5-10 years. You're going to have bumps in the road. You're going to have speed bumps. You're going to have little minor injuries like my elbow issue. You're going to have times when you're sick. You're also going to have times when you don't feel like working out. And I'm here to tell you, I've been doing this for 38 years, and there are times I don't feel like working out. There are days I don't feel like working out. Yesterday, I did not feel like working out. Why? Who knows? I worked until 8 o'clock. I actually worked out from 8 till 9:30, and then I actually cooked fish in something called an oven. After that, I didn't feel like doing any of that stuff, right? But there's some days I don't feel like working out. That's just the reality. Life is intense, and as long as you're stringing together workouts over consistently, it's when we get away from training for months on end, right? When we go through these periods that we're not training, that is when we get into trouble. So you have to allow yourself a little bit of flexibility to deal with it. As far as the inner criticism, I say, self, I understand that you feel like a failure, but you're not a failure because we have to analyze things rationally. The people that fail at lifting don't look at the long-term process. They don't allow a little bit of flexibility. You have point A to point B, okay? Point A to point B, and it's not a straight line. It's not like a straight line. It's like a spasmodic child with a crayon in an earthquake. It's just going to be all over the place. But as long as you keep moving forward, you're good. It's when we take time away, and we get away and we have to reset, deload, reload, unload, take months away and just keep screwing off, jumping programs, resetting, regretting. What can we run? Resetting, regretting, all kinds of things. We're going to start rapping here in a minute, but the only thing I'll say, Martin, is I don't care about your feelings, and neither should you, right? You have the moment where you're like, I didn't want to work out today, right? And then you realize, okay, it's all about the long run. As long as you don't use it as an excuse to consistently miss workouts, you're in a good place. So, Big Ernie, what's going on, Big Ernie? Big Ernie, glad to have you here. Lee, glad to have you here. Happy Friday, Team Massive. Big Lee, happy Friday. A lot of online personalities are all for 1 to 2 sets. No, not a lot. I would say a few. And I'm just being fair. I'm not trying to be argumentative, but 48 reps, that's way too low on average. When it comes to the thing that where this is ignorant and where it falls apart is every exercise is different. There are no magical rep ranges, and there are no magical number of sets. The lower, that would be a ridiculously minimal type of program. The thing that really irritates me about this is the rep range. Every exercise is different, and all we need to do is look at the history of lifting to realize conventional rep ranges work, right? Conventional rep ranges work. You have everything from John Grimek to Jay Cutler. You have everything from Ronnie Coleman back to Steve Reeves. They're all using conventional rep ranges, okay? We are not dumb. We are pretty smart. We don't need one, I'm just going to say it, we need one jerk off in the corner going, 1 to 2 sets of 4 to 8 reps, and here's my claim, whatever, I'm going to be honest and I'm going to swear, go fuck off. This person needs to go fuck off. Like the person making this claim needs to get the fuck off social media, because I posted this morning on Instagram about confusion, influencers that confuse. You guys need to stop watching these clowns because they are fuck sticks. Okay. I'm sorry to swear. I'm sorry to go off early. We're going to go off early on this, but this is the stuff we need to stop following. These are the influencers that are trying to confuse and go against the entire history of lifting. We need to stop following these people. You need to unfollow them right now, and you need to pretend you never heard of them. And if you think I'm crazy, here's the table. Here's how I'm going to set the table for you. You have the 1950s to the 2025, basically the last 70 years of lifting. I challenge you to find any 10 lifters, natty or not, whatever, who cares, right? Let's just see how they train. You're going to have Steve Reeves, and you're going to have John Grimek, and you're going to have Reg Park, and you're going to have Arnold Schwarzenegger, and you're going to have Frank Zane. You're going to have all these lifters, okay? They all use conventional rep ranges, and it works. I've been in this industry forever, my friend. I've been in this industry forever. I've interviewed so many natural bodybuilders, especially when I was at Muscle and Strength. I was interviewing guys like Sean Clarita, who was Mr. Olympia under whatever the weight class is, when he was natural. That's how far back I go. I was working with all these guys way back when, interviewing them, detailing them, promoting them. All these guys, they're all trained in conventional rep ranges, and it's working fine, right? The magic isn't in there's a magic rep range. Anybody that says that needs to get slapped off the internet. I mean that. You need to stop following these clowns because they're trying to make things confusing, and they're going against the entire history of lifting. The claim is that's all it is. It's their bias. You can train like that. You can also train 3 to 4 sets for 15 to 20 reps if you want. That's the beautiful thing about lifting. Now, where this really falls apart is a rep range, because that is super idiotic. Every exercise is different. I'm not going to do pec deck for 4 rep sets, Mr. Jones, whoever the hell this is. I'm not going to do that. That's stupid. That's dumb. That's dense. You need a brain checkup. You need to get some peptides from some secret dark corner of the black market that improve your brain capacity. You need to stack that with a little creatine, ashwagandha, and maybe a little melatonin to get some better sleep. Because the guy that says this is, I'm just going to say it, that's a dumb thought. I'm not going to call this guy dumb, but I'm going to say that statement is dumb. I don't have the context, right? And I'm not saying that they're going to paint with a broad swash on all exercises. But I will tell you this. Anybody that tells you there's a specific magic rep range, and then they go on to say it's lower reps, right? I'm not going to do dumbbell flies for 4 rep sets because I'm smart enough to know that's A, stupid, and B, probably going to tear up the shoulders, and C, it just doesn't make any sense, right? We're reducing some of the overall mechanical tension and stress. That's somebody pulling something out of their butt that wants to, be anti this or that. This stuff gets me fired up because this is the crap we want to avoid. This is the crap. Higher reps are more fatiguing. For Christ's sake, guys, higher reps are more fatiguing. We want to build up our work capacity. You can't have decent muscle if you don't build up your work capacity, right? Oh, the body is fragile and we can't possibly do much work. Come on. This is clown college stuff, right? Oh, the higher reps are more fatiguing. Yeah, going to the gym is more fatiguing than sitting on your ass, but I'm not going to sit on my ass. Come on, we're not that fragile. I've been doing normal reps my whole life. I'm nearly 57 years old. I just did my shoulder workout last night. The higher reps weren't more fatiguing. That's just a stupid statement. I'm not calling the person that made this stupid, but that's a really stupid statement. All right, Martin. Would love to see your workflow when you're doing your daily client check-ins. Martin, I try to structure things. It just takes too much work. I would have to do too many screenshots and pasting PDFs. Because in my actual system, I have a line of clients like a chat and all their information on the right. And I can't present it without showing, all my client names. And I can't. I just didn't have time to do it. It would have taken a lot of time to do screenshots and piece everything together because there's so many layers in the training app. So I sincerely apologize. I wanted to show that to you, but I just can't show it without having to do a lot of work. So I apologize for that. Jonathan, happy Friday. Steve, we're off to a fast start today, aren't we? This stuff irritates me. I just posted about it on social media this morning. You guys need to unfollow these people. Lifting should free you, right? When you look at the history of lifting in the last 70 years, it should be like, okay, I have freedom to do whatever exercise I want, as long as the grouping of exercises makes sense. You should have the freedom to adjust the rep range where it's reasonable for you based on that exercise. Are you really that fragile where if you do more than 4 to 8 reps per exercise, your genitals are going to fall off? I mean, I'm not. You're not. I don't even know where this stuff is so utterly ridiculous. It's so utterly ridiculous. It lacks. This is the opposite of science. It's like anti-science. It's anti-history. It goes against everything we know about lifting. It goes against everything we know about lifting. Let that resonate forever. Off in outer space to infinity. Some alien species is going to get this broadcast in like 5 million years. And they don't even lift right now. But they're going to be lifting, and they're going to say the big, hairy, ugly dude was right. It goes against everything we know about the history of lifting. When someone gives you information that goes against everything we know about the history of lifting, you got to kind of question if all the bolts are tightened. You know what I'm saying? All right, Jonathan, bring out the bacon. Absolutely. Let's have a bacon party. If you have 3 spots for chest, are push-ups a good choice? Yeah, I guess so. I mean, you can have one like that. I mean, you got a barbell and a dumbbell exercise in, so that's really, really good, right? That's A+. And then for your third choice, And one thing I always try to tell folks is that you can have a pet exercise in the mix for any body part as long as it's reasonable, right? Yeah, so absolutely. I've done push-ups over the years. I have nothing against it. Just try to do them nice and controlled. Press. When you're pressing, feel that chest working. Control it down. Press, feel the chest working. Control it down. We're not trying to overly turn it into a mind muscle feely, but you want to have good control. You want to be able to feel the chest working on that sucker. And then if you want to, if you want to start loading up a little bit of weight, tossing it in the backpack, whatever, you can do that if you want. Woodulus, Mr. Scotland, Rocky Tree or Rocky 4? Rocky Tree, I have to get up to speed because I will admit Rocky 3 is Mr. T. And then I had to look at, it's been so while since I've watched these movies. Don't hate on me. And then Rocky 4 is Dolph. I don't know, man. Like Mr. T was all right. But I would almost go with Dolph. Which one would you guys go with? Like, what is it? Dolph Lundgren? Is that his name? I would almost go with that one. Big Stein. How's it going, Stein? Shelly, a client of mine. How's it going, Shelly? Good morning. Big Jonathan. Due to a change in schedule, I'll be able to only train Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Not too big on legs only. What split would work without interference? So this is something I've run into before, and this isn't the only thing you can do, but this is something to think about. Okay. You can do upper, lower, and lower could be legs and my posterior. So upper posterior. You do chest, shoulders, arms on upper. You can do legs and back on lower. And then on the third day, you could do like a full body workout. So you're like, I'm going to do some back work after back work and leg work after leg work. So say you do posterior on Thursday and you do a little, like squats or deadlifts or whatever. And then you're like, Friday, I'm going to work legs and back again. Yeah, you can do a little bit. We're going to do more isolation, more milder hitting stuff, more fill in the cracks. More fill in the cracks type of stuff. So Wednesday, you could do your bench and overhead. You could have an A-B split. So week 1, you could do like lead off with bench, maybe bench 3s, and then maybe do seated dumbbell overhead press. And then week 2, you might lead off with pin press 3s or overhead 3s, and then do like a bench 5, 10, 10, 20. So you could work in some variation. So you can have your big hitters for bench and for chest and shoulders, and then, do whatever you wanted for arms. And then you could come back to the full body on Saturday, and you maybe lead off with like close grip bench and maybe do pull-ups or chin-ups. And then maybe you could do some other arm work, some other full body stuff, so that's one way to do things. You could also rotate, but you could also do the AB rotation. So you could do an upper posterior, and upper posterior is what we just discussed, but you could do it on an ABA split, week 1 ABA, week 2 BAB. So you could have 4 workouts, upper A, posterior A, upper B, posterior B, and you could work them Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And if any of you guys aren't familiar with these workouts, check out my workout collection at superlivingtoday.com or search here. I'd be happy to help you find them. You can message me at any time. So let's say week 1, you do upper A on Wednesday, and then Thursday you do posterior. And then on Freitag, you do upper B. Is it going to be perfect? No, but you'll get in good work. And then you come back next week and you do posterior B, upper A, posterior A, right? So you can rotate that way. And you can do that with the torso limbs split as well. Josh just said Rocky 3 and 4 were equal. And yeah, I mean, they're like chocolate and white chocolate, right? Like both are good, just in a different way. And that's kind of, I didn't mean to phrase it like that, because I know you have the white chocolate, which is Dolph Lundgren, and the chocolate Mr. T. That's not where I was going, but it just kind of came out. So Big Jonathan, have you ever tried the Sixways EX? I've heard of it a million times. I'm going to be honest with you. I have nothing against it, but that prehab, rehab, shoulder stuff, all that kind of stuff, I've never needed it. It bores me. If you guys need it, find value in it, use it. Like, I just don't I don't have enough time in the day. If I did, I'd be out running more or doing other things. I'm sure there's value. When it comes down to it, I'm sure there's value on, foam rolling and stretching and Sixways and all this prehab stuff and hot and cold and all these things. But Paul says, what kind of chocolate is Rocky? Let's see. Rocky has some big nuts, internal nuts. So maybe he's like, I don't know, white chocolate and almond. Right. White chocolate macadamia. That's what Rocky is. He's white. He's got some nuts. I don't know. Now we're just getting silly. Harris, good morning. Team Massive, good morning. Our dumbbell leg extension. Yeah, absolutely. It's certainly not a bad exercise. The question when you approach exercises like this is, how can I get the most out of it, right? Just nice control, focus, progressive overload. Use a rep range that works for you on those, right? Rather than somebody's arbitrary 4 to 6 reps or else with too fatigue. Anyway, yeah, you can absolutely. How heavy should incline dumbbell press be in comparison? That's a good question. It can vary for individuals, maybe 70 to 80%. There are some guys, I don't know. I think I got my incline around 315 when my bench was around 365. Generally, it's not going to be the same. Some outliers might have the same, but generally, it's not going to be the same. But somewhere in that range, if that makes sense. I mean, I think if you can get the 80s on inclines and you 100s on flat bench, you're in a pretty good place for comparison. And the same would apply for women, like 35s or 40s on inclines, 50s on flat bench. Big Jonathan, I hope I don't annoy you guys when I go crazy on my rants or use my bad humor. Having fun and doing this is one of my favorite parts of the week. And nothing I say is overly serious, but I like to have a little bit of fun and use my bad sense of humor. So I hope I never offend anybody with my humor or whatever. I'm just trying to have fun. And anyway, I'm thinking of adding some smaller workouts, 3 to 4 exercises, as in massive minimal. Yeah, you can do that. The thing I want you guys to always remember is to always think about things in terms of the week. Right. We get so caught up in optimal world, right? With optimal influencers, with optimal exercises and optimal programs. And they got the stick so far up their ass, they don't even know which way the sun shines. They're like an optimal popsicle, right? I don't know where that came from, the stick up their ass, but they're so straight and focused. Optimal. Everything's optimal. Everything's, that's not the real world. That's not really the way we like to train anyway. Jonathan's a perfect example. Think of things in terms of weekly volume. Excuse me. Like, we don't need to worry about splits and programs necessarily, like in the sense that which one is better. We just need to focus on consistent weekly volume, or as consistent as possible. Does that make sense? So if you did an upper A and then if you did an upper on Monday and a posterior on Tuesday, and then you want to put in 3 smaller workouts over the course of a week, go ahead. Look at the overall weekly volume. Try to balance that, right? Try to balance that in a reasonable manner. Try to have a good quality selection of exercises. You will be perfect. Harris, I've seen various types of hammer curls on the internet. Which one do you recommend? Okay, so you have your regular hammer curls. I do them 2-armed. I like to do dumbbell curls 1 arm at a time, standing dumbbell curls. I like to do seated incline curls 2 arms at a time. And then I'm laughing because I saw Milo Wolf, I think, saying that incline curls are an exercise you should replace with something in a recent video. Like, no, Go kick rocks, buddy. So I like to do seated incline curls, 2 arms at a time. I like to do hammer curls 2 arms at a time. 2 arms at a time. You can also rotate if you want. The new dance of the week, right? The incline curl dance. You can do them like that. You also have the pinwheel curl where you curl up like this. You kind of have to lean in a little bit. You can do that as well. That's not a hammer curl, but that is kind of in the hammer curl family where you're curling up like this, but then you're curling across like this. So the important thing to remember is that when you're looking at training your biceps, it's the cumulative amount of impact over the course of a week or over the course of even a 2-week cycle if you have A-B splits. So don't worry about a specific exercise variation. Worry that you have an overall good plan of attack for that muscle group. You have exercises you enjoy and that those exercises have progression opportunities, and you feel like you're getting a reasonable amount of value out of those exercises. Does that make sense? Big Jonathan. What should I consider in terms of do's, don'ts, do's, arms before? Don't do arms before back. You don't do bicepticons before back in a workout. You don't do bicepticons the day before back in a training schedule. You don't want your biceps fatigued headed into back work. Now, I am not one to be alarmist. I'm not on the boats of some of these weirdos. And we say weirdos and fun because we're entertaining, right? And we're just cracking on people. These weirdos, I'm not in a weirdo boat that's like, can't do leg extensions, you'll die. Can't do upright rows, you'll die. Can't do this, you'll die, right? Excuse me. I'm not in that weirdo camp, the super alarmist, but there are smart things we shouldn't do. You really don't want to go into back work with any degree of fatigue in your biceps because the biceps are the smaller muscle group in the mix on back work, and you can move some pretty big weight on back day. So we don't want your biceps fatigued at all. We do not want your triceps or shoulders generally fatigued headed into tricep day. We do not want your triceps fatigued or shoulders fatigued headed into like chest or shoulder day, right? So you don't want to train triceps before chest or shoulders. You don't want to train them the day before. You always want to start down with the biggest hitters, and those are usually the major muscle groups, and then move on to the minor. So those are general rules. You can do traps before back. They're kind of equivalent. You're not really going to have interference. Those are the major rules. Some people do a little bit of leg curl activation before squats. That's perfectly fine because leg curls are not super impactful and they're not going to super fatigue the hamstrings to the point where you're going to be limited or restricted at all. On squats. All right. Does your sodium intake recommendation apply to early morning walks? Well, I mean, here's the thing. When we talk about electrolytes, excuse me, I got some sinus issues. There, I'm tuning the old horn live on camera. Sorry, right? But you never heard that. That's the key of BHUD. Does your sodium intake recommend? When it comes to electrolyte intake, we have to understand a couple of things. Sodium is an electrolyte. We know that as athletes, but a lot of the general population fears sodium intake. As athletes, we need more sodium in general, okay? When you wake up in the morning, you're usually at your low point water-wise and maybe electrolyte-wise. I mean, you've just slept, sweated. Some of us sleep, lose water when we sleep. I sweat sometimes a little bit when I sleep. Somewhere around 80%, I don't know the exact percentage, but somewhere around 80% of what we lose when we sweat is the electrolyte sodium, is salt, sodium. So some are like, when you go out running and you're sweating, or you're walking and you're sweating, we think that we have to replenish all electrolytes. And there's no harm in getting in potassium and magnesium and calcium and that sort of thing. But you are losing more sodium. So like if you are going out for a long walk, long hike, long run, long exercise, training day, whatever, and it's really hot, you have to really focus on sodium intake. A lot of times, one of the bonk contributors, bonking meaning feeling flat, is a low sodium. So there's no harm in it. Let's put it that way. There's no harm in it at all, having a little bit of sodium, if that makes sense. Should I always measure weight at the same time? Yep. Yep. Get up, strip off all those clothings, urinate, and step on the scale. First thing in the morning, you're going to be at your lowest weight, and we want to measure at that consistent level. Midday, your food intake is going to vary. Your water intake is going to vary. What you're wearing that day is going to vary. The most accurate is straight out of bed, urinate, step on the scale. What is the correct movement path for the dumbbell on chest-supported rows? The correct movement path is natural. When you have your chest on the bench, you want to you're not worried about a movement pattern like what is the angle of perfection, right? You're not worried about that. That's another dance move I can teach you guys. That's called the correct movement pattern on dumbbell rows. The correct angle on dumbbell rows. That's a new dance craze for lifters. I don't know how you guys put up with me. On the chest supported dumbbell row, you want to focus on driving. What I focus on is driving the elbow and shoulder back in unison. Okay. I know a lot of folks just talk about driving the elbow back. I think about driving the elbow and shoulder back, because when I do that, I can really tune in with that whole big, beefy slab of muscle in my back. So when I'm doing this, I'm focusing on driving the shoulders and elbows back on a chest-supported row. I don't care what angle is here, because anything from here, below your elbow, to here doesn't matter. It's just a dangling appendage, okay? What matters is the elbow moving back and the shoulder moving back. So the elbow is going to move back and the shoulder is going to move back on a chest-supported row, on a dumbbell-focused lat row, whatever. You're focused on the elbow. Whatever is below the elbow, it can rotate wherever it wants, because that doesn't matter. The movement mechanism is driving the elbows and shoulders back with the weight. This is just a hangy bit, right? So to speak. It's just a hanging appendage. It doesn't matter below the elbow. You drive it back with your elbows. It's like a martial arts elbow strike, right? Like the sound effect. Drive that back. And this is just gripping the weight. You don't care what that does. Just keep that natural. Does that make sense? Last year, 5'9", 208. Last year I had a goal of 315, reached 285. That's not poverty. That's excellent. I'm back on the horse, currently doing 3x8. That's really good strength. You should be proud of that. Day 2 is a little bit of back off. Day 3, yeah, man, it sounds like a great plan. I want you to know your bench is good. Just be patient, stay healthy. You're going to get to 315. That sounds like a reasonable plan to me. My son started 7th grade football. I have him on a calorie increase doing bodyweight push-ups and singles on pull-ups. Good that you have him doing pull-ups. Currently have him doing the bar and bench and squat. I'd like for him to – there are exercises that have kind of a heavy neurological adaptation period, squats and deadlifts. I wouldn't want him deadlifting at all. Okay, we don't want to load the spine. We don't want to stress the spine. We don't want to do any of that. I'm hesitant to have him squatting right now. What I did with my daughter when she was 13 is have her do goblet squats. I would also have him work on some lunges. Let's build up the knees. Let's build up the stability. Let's build up the quads. let's do some goblet squats and have him really get comfortable with that squatting movement pattern. And then we can worry about spinal loading down the road. I think benches are typically okay, but squat, I would really be hesitant to have him squat at all right now. Let's get some quad strength build up. Let's get past that neurological adaptation period, and we'll save squats for down the road a little bit. Big Josh Megaroid, it's good to have you here, man. I hope things are going well for you and you're able to get in your training. Big Jonathan, do you think Smith squats are any good? Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, we all know squats are the greatest. We also know that squats have a high learning curve. People come to me, and I can tell you at least 70 to 80% of them need to work on their squats to get something out of it. So squats are a great exercise, but they're also harder to master than you see on the internet. Now, you want a good selection of exercises. In that mix, you want to use exercises that treat your lower back good and that are giving you good quad stimulation. So you can go with Smith squats, leg press, pendulum squats, hack squats, lunges. There was a video by Dr. Milo Wolf of exercises you probably should replace or whatever. And lunges were one of them. And leg extensions were one of them. And that's the sort of content that gets me triggered. I was almost tempted to make a video on that video response, but Smith squats are a good exercise. Just pick out a good mix of things that work for you. Generally, you want to put your feet a little bit forward. A lot of my clients can get pretty deep on Smith squats. Back in the 15 years ago, I was very much an anti-Smith person, but it was more dogma. It was more that I was pushing back on the weak mindset that people didn't want to do hard things like squats and deadlifts. And I would push back a little bit, like, get off the Smith machine, man, and do some, but that was 15 years ago. Now we're a little bit more reasonable. We understand it's a good exercise selection. We can compartmentalize. We have people that are trying to avoid hard work, right? We have those people, and they're not going to make progress no matter what. So they might always seek an easier way, an easier exercise. That's more of a cancerous mindset. And we have to be able to separate that apart from being able to get a lot out of the Smith squats, if that makes sense. Good exercise. At what point in the workout to add farmer's walk and sandbag work? Now, we have to understand we have conventional strength and hypertrophy training, which are pretty much interlocked for the most part until you build up a good quality base. And then we have things where you can move weight through time. We have weighted exercising. Forms of weighted exercising like sandbag training and farmer's walks. A farmer's walk could certainly be a contributor in a good hypertrophy program when structured properly, and it could be a good contributor or tool in a good strength building program when structured properly. But like sandbag training, generally something better at the end of a workout when you have done the meat and potatoes of more conventional work. And with a farmer's walk, you're going to be working your yoke and your trapezoids and stuff like that. So it's probably better to do that at the end of a workout, right? When you can just kind of blast away at the end of your workout, like an end of a posterior workout. I would do my rows first. I would do my leg work first. I would do my back work first, and then I would do like farmer's walks. Have you ever met John Meadows? I've worked with John Meadows when I was at Tiger Fitness as an editor. I've had phone calls with John. I've talked to him about content. He had a supplement brand, and we worked with him. That's one of the beautiful things about what I did for a living is I got a chance to work with so many wonderful people. And yes, I've had an opportunity to talk with and work with John on a professional level. We actually were trying to develop content. I wanted to give out like a little teaser of John Meadows' biceps workout. And John was very guarded about his training approach, which he had a right to be. It's, in trying to promote his supplement line, we have to put out some content. We have to put out something, right? To say, hey, this is John Meadows and this is what he believes about something. That's just the way content works. You can't go like, I'm John Meadows, buy my stuff, right? It doesn't work like that. He's going to be introduced to a lot of people. So I was trying to get John to release a biceps workout, and John was very hesitant, and he has a right to do whatever he wants with his content information. I'm not judging at all, but we were trying to work on content that he could present that somebody would say, hey, that flavor of training is like John Meadows. So one of the things I wish about John, and maybe it's out there, maybe I just haven't seen it, is that like he was very guarded in how he trained people, that hadn't paid for his services. I get that completely. I mean, absolutely respect. But when that content or that information is behind a wall, so to speak, we aren't always getting as much as we wish we could from John. I wish there was some access to that type of information. Workouts that he gave to his clients and some of the little tips and tricks. He gives up. There's a ton of great YouTube stuff from John. Absolutely brilliant stuff. Absolutely brilliant stuff. And, but I always just wish I could have more. John had a very unique way of training people, just like I have my own system of training people. And it was very reasonable and conventional in a sense that, it wasn't one of these guys that was doing 1 to 2 sets of 4 to 8 reps. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, Big Josh Megaroids on a body part split. What do you think of the Meadows method? Pumpy wumpy, big hitter, peak contraction, and stretch biased. I have nothing against that because you're getting a good range of exercises, right? I like this approach in theory, but I will tell you in workout design, it can fall apart on different muscle groups. So in theory, that's a pretty good place to be. But we have to understand that every body part is different. There are certain back exercises. I can't get a back pump. That's me personally. You might be able to get one. I can't get, I could do you can do a lot of leg extensions, and then you can do a squat, and then you can do a peak contraction and a stretch biased exercise. Absolutely. What I will say about any tool or structure is that you have to be willing to adapt that, evolve that based on preferences. So if you use that structure and then you find that for a specific body part, maybe the stretch bias, you don't like it, right? Don't be afraid to tinker because it's not magic. That's not any disrespect towards John. It's just a system of putting together a reasonable selection of exercises. My power muscle burn is kind of the same but different, right? We start off with the big hitter, and then we kind of do volume work, right? And then we kind of meat and potatoes work, and then we kind of do pump work, right? And obviously, you're generally going to have 4 exercises on a body part split, but these are all different systems, and we have to understand my system isn't magic, John's system isn't magic, but they are reasonable. And reasonable, saying they're not magic isn't an insult. Saying they're reasonable is a compliment. You could consider using them if you like them. You can consider using this system if you like it. You could consider using my power muscle burn if you like it, right? Because they're reasonable. Unreasonable would be the type of system that was brought up earlier of the lifter that said you should only do 1 to 2 sets per exercise of 4 to 8. That's super reductionist. And would it work? Yeah, it would work. But it's very dogmatic and to a degree unreasonable, unruly, because it closes doors. It doesn't open doors, right? On this type of thing, you can open doors. You're given a little bit of freedom. On my systems, you get a little bit of freedom. I talk about a reasonable weekly volume, a reasonable exercise selection. John's right here in the land of reason, right? A reasonable. So nothing but respect for the system. Absolutely. If you had to get a meal at a fast food place, what would be the smartest option? This is something I teach to my clients, specifically to those that are struggling, because last week I went off on a long rant about fast food and that you have control. And that if you're away from home and eating at a fast food place, it's not an excuse to eat like a pig, right? What I recommend, and this is just a starting point to get us thinking a little bit, is pick 3 fast food choices. If you need more than that, or you need to go off the map a little bit and do this, that, or you want pizza or Chipotle or something that's not on your big 3, that's fine. Just do your research and know your calories first. We don't need to be obsessive compulsive, but we also need to know that if you go out for an omelet, like a Denver omelet, it might have 1,400 calories. You're thinking it's just eggs and a bunch of veggies. It could have 1,400 calories. So we want to do a little bit of research, because the food outside of our door is a war zone. Repeat, the food choices outside of our door, outside of our control, is a war zone. Now, there are people out there that'll be like, don't get obsessive compulsive, don't get neurotic, don't worry about that stuff. You don't need to count calories, eat reasonable. That's fine when you're in complete control. But when you step outside of your doors, all hell can break loose. So it's good to be equipped with knowledge. If you're going to step out of your comfort zone and eat someplace you don't normally eat, you want to do a little bit of research into the calories in that food. Now, I want you to pick out 3 fast food places you like, okay? I'll tell you mine. 3 fast food places you like. You want to find options that have some reasonable protein and that are within your reasonable calorie levels. What I mean by this is, you're not going to go to Burger King, order the triple Whopper with extra cheese and cheese curds or whatever the hell they sell, or onion rings, and a large super mammer jammer, Coke, fat Coke, and then a shake, and have like 2,500 calories, right? You want to kind of zero in a little bit. Okay, you got to pick up 3 choices, find things that are in your calorie range that have some reasonable protein. Number 1 for me, I don't do this often. I haven't done this in a couple of years, is the McDonald's McDouble. Like 380 calories, 23 grams of protein. Subway, you can control Subway. 6-inch sub, this, you know what the calories are. You know it's got some protein. I'm not a Chipotle guy, no hate. You know, if I'm going to go, what else would I do if I'm going to do fast food? What else would I do? I don't do a lot of fast food. Sometimes Burger King. I just maybe do 1 burger. I don't know, man. I just, like, when we go out to eat, we'll go out to like a real restaurant and get I say real restaurant, not fast food, get a burger or something. We like to go out to Mongolian, and then I can control what goes in the bowl, you know, like meat and veg. What else do we like to do? There's a Mexican restaurant locally that has something called the Three Amigos that has like steak, chicken, and shrimp and all veg, you know, rice and beans and that sort of stuff. But you need to know, you need to have 3 choices. You just can't be like, On Saturday, I don't know what I'm going to do today. Right? Oh, I'm going to eat like a food zombie, like, what smells good, cookie? You're like making it up on the spot, eating on whims. You have to have a plan. It's okay to deviate from the plan because we're not trying to create some sort of a crazy life structure. But it's good to be educated and have a plan, if that makes sense. So the smartest option, there's a lot of smart options out there, man. Nearly every restaurant has smart options. You can go to Wendy's and get the baked chicken Sammy. Even in Wendy's breakfast sandwiches, you know the calorie content of each one because it's up on the board. Think calories and protein and keeping the calories reasonable and getting in some protein. Big Josh Megaroids, Romanian deadlift before leg curls. Absolutely, why not? You can do them the other way around as well because leg curls aren't going to fatigue your lower back. You could do those before if you want. Some guys do the leg curls and then squats and then RDLs. If I don't generally do, like on a body part split, that's how I would structure it, RDLs before leg curls. Everything is going to be individualized. Some people might not like that, but that's generally how my starting point. All right, guys, we're 57 minutes in, and we got a lot of great questions today. I'm going to get a drink, and I'm just going to let you guys know. Keep the questions coming. Keep the questions coming. I'll stay on as long as you guys have questions. And just a reminder, if you need coaching, head over to my website, superlivingtoday.com, superlivingtoday.com. Also check out, I'm going to show you guys something really, really quick, just as a little bit of an interlude, and then we'll get back into the questions. Let me just pull that off here. So I'm going to share the screen just for a minute and show you guys. This is my website, superlivingtoday.com. There is, let me shrink it down. There's a coaching tab. And on the coaching tab, you have the year commitment, and then you have the 3-month commitment. You can go over the coaching tab. I'm going to workouts tab. You can get my massive collection, which has like 354 pages of workouts, and my apparel. I put together a couple new shirts. I just want to show you guys those real quick, and then we'll move on with questions. Let's see. Price, date, new to old. This is a meathead shirt I put out this week. This is for Paul Carter calling us all low IQ meatheads. I made a shirt. Meathead, low brain capacity. Isn't that fun? And then what else did I put together? I was just sitting around being a little bit snappy. So, the natty or not stuff. I thought it'd be funny to have a shirt that says 75% natty. Why not? But anyway, if you search Omnibus, you will get the massive Omnibus. There's going to be 10 books in this series. This is a cover of book 1. That's a cover of book 2. That's a cover of book 3. And that's a cover of book 4. And where are we? Book 1 has the massive pillars and new content. Book 2 is on squats and deadlift. Book 3 is on bench and chest. Book 4 is on back delts and arms. And there's just more content to come. So I just wanted to show you guys where that was at. I want to see if I can show you book 4 real quick, and then we'll get back on to the questions. So hold on to your Grundies a little bit. Let me just find book 4. I'll give you a peek at what that has. Book 4. Here we go. It's loading up. Book 4 is back, shoulders, and arms, and it's over 300 pages. I don't have the hardcover yet. These are all digital, but right now we have 1,200 pages of digital content. It's loading right now. Let me get a drink. All righty. You want to know a piece of trivia? This is sitting on my desk. This thing of ink. Okay. That's sitting on my desk. You know who gave that to me? Infinite Edge Intensity, if you don't know him. Used to interact with him a lot. I don't know if you ever checked out his channel, but Infinite Edge Intensity, for those of you guys that know Elgin. All right. Peaky Weeky. Peaky Wiki. This is book 4, and this is the digital. Massive omnibus. Da, 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 da. Table of contents. You have sections. Section 1's back training. There's so much content in here, far more than this. Section 2, traps. Section 3, shoulders. Section 4, arms, biceps, triceps. Tons of stuff. You have the perfect back workout leading off. Tons of information. You go on forever, ever and ever and ever and ever. Tons of information on here. So this is over 350 billion pages. Literally. So check that out, guys, if you want some good information. It's all here. Let me just remove that. All right, let's get back into the questions. Chieftain from Twitter. Glad to see somebody tuned in from Twitter. X marks the spot. Good morning, Big Paul from Team Massive. Bacon is here. Bacon has arrived. We can celebrate. How would you recommend tracking macros in a college cafeteria? It's a tough one. Our best bet is to, number one, do portions and eat to satiety. So I would do things a plate at a time. Like for a meal, you can have a plate, a reasonable plate, and you can put protein and veg and complex carbs like rice, potatoes, oatmeal, whatever. So about the rule of thirds on your plate. And depending on the food choices, that could be 600, that could be 800 calories, but we're going to have a reasonable plate of food. So what we want to do is focus on getting in protein, and then we want to focus on controlling our portions so we can kind of not limit ourselves, but create a pretty consistent calorie intake. If you're hungry, I want you to eat more. I want you to eat to satiety. You need to watch the scale as well, and we need to make adjustments because I want you to have fun. I want you to have fun food unless you're overweight and need to lose weight, and then you need to cut back and really monitor your choices. But I would not focus on macros as much as focusing on portions, what you can control, and getting in some protein. And if they have side dishes that are protein, like for breakfast, like a Greek yogurt or some milk or whatever, get it in. Get the extra protein in. And then just watch the scale. And from your portion, your place of portions, right? Let's say for breakfast, you do your portion thing, right? You got some eggs, you got some breakfast taters, maybe some oatmeal, whatever. Since we don't do a lot of veg for breakfast, right? And then you decide to add a milk in or maybe in a Greek yogurt. So that's your baseline. That's your baseline. Try to work within that baseline every day. You can do the Greek yogurt, the milk, and then the plate of food with the protein, bacon, sausage, egg, whatever. So if the scale isn't moving, then we have to add a little bit to that baseline. Does that make sense? Could be a snack in between meals. Could be a snack before bed. But that's kind of how we have to approach it. We need to set a baseline, and we need to work from that, focus on protein and consistent calorie intake or consistent food volume. The calories are going to vary a little bit, and we can't control that, but we can control certain things, portions. Jeff, how can you continue to lift through elbow tendonitis? Thank you, sir. I appreciate that. You have to get yourself some VersaGrip Pros or Cobra Grips or something similar. That's what you have is an overuse injury from all that gripping. So I can wear those and relax my grip and still dumbbell row 200 pounds. You need to start doing that. It's going to take time, but hopefully it'll improve over time. Big Joe B, a client of mine. Bacon's. I've been using the rep goal system for about 4 months, and I love it for progression. Great, man. That's wonderful to hear. If you guys haven't seen the rep goal system, you can find that on my original book, Massive Iron. That's on my website, superlivingtoday.com, superlivingtoday.com. So if you haven't seen it, I go into detail about the rep goal system. Basically, you're maximizing every set or taking more sets for as many safe quality reps as you can. You're adding up the reps, right, from all sets. So let's say you get 13, 8, and 6. That would be 27. You have a rep target. Let's say it's 30. When you hit 30 on those 3 sets, then you move up in weight. Mitchell, have you ever felt so debilitated due to life events that you fell off working? Absolutely. I think we all go through that. How do you combat this? You got to push back. That's the only way you can do it. There's periods in time where we need to grieve or lick our wounds or whatever, but we need to get back in the gym. You physically need to do it. There's nothing preventing you from doing it. You need to get back in the gym. You had your boo-hoo moment. Your girl left you. Your dog died. You're in the middle of a country song. You got to get back on the track. You got to. It's like flossing your teeth. I didn't feel like flossing my teeth last night. I did, but I'm just saying, I didn't feel like flossing. Got to get back to flossing. You got to get back in the gym. You got to just get to the gym, even if you have to do a minimal workout. You just got to get back in. You got to get in the gym. There's nothing else to it. You can think all you want. You can plan all you want. You can hang out lifting communities all you want. You can do twirl in circles and think about things and stay in your head forever. But at some point, you just need to go put yourself in the fucking car. And I'm sorry for swearing, but this is what you need to do. You need to say, self, go get in the fucking car. Okay, self, get the damn key, start the car. Self, drive to the fucking gym. Just go in and do the first set. I don't feel like it. I don't care what you feel like doing, self. Go do the first fucking set. You need to get to that point. You need to push back. There's no magic plan. There's no magic protocol. But you need to stand in front of the mirror. And when self is saying, life events, life events, life events, I get it, man. We all have life events, and I'm not being insensitive. I go through them. We all go through them. These are things I say to myself. This is what I said to myself last night. I worked 12 hours yesterday. I didn't feel like working out, but I just went and did the first set. At some point, the magic plan is to push back against yourself. You know the right thing, or else you wouldn't be here. What I want you to do, Mitchell, is I want you to go to the gym. I don't care if you just do 4 sets. I want you to go to the gym, do 4 sets. Get out of there. You're going to feel better. You're going to gain some momentum. You're going to go home and go, boo, life event. And then you're going to wake up the next day and you're going to go do 4 sets, 5 sets. That's what you got to do, my friend. That's what you got to do. Habit. Habit, habit, habit. You have to do the things you don't want to do when you don't want to do them. That's truly living. That's truly where growth occurs. Doing the things you don't want to do when you don't want to do them. There are many things I don't want to do today. I guarantee that. Many things I don't want to do today. But you have to strap it on. I believe in all of you guys. I do. I'm never being hard on you guys for just trying to walk around being some big hard on everybody type of guy. I want the best for you guys. And I'm saying this, Mitchell, because I care. Get to the fucking gym today. I don't care if you just walk in circles around a treadmill looking at women in yoga pants. Well, I do. That could get you in trouble. I don't care. Just get to the gym. Just go. Just for a second, go, I do not give a damn about my feelings. Life is hard. Life is tough. I get it. We all have struggles. It doesn't diminish them. Life is hard. But man, this is important to you. And if this is important to you, get to the gym. What I hate to see, and I've seen this over and over and over again, because I've been on communities over and over and over again, is the constant people going hard for 3 or 4 months, getting off the gym for 3 or 4 months, going hard. They never string together consistency. If you want, lifting aside, folks, if you want to do anything important during this life of yours, string together consistency. I can't give you any better life advice than to string together consistency. I'm not genetically a freak. I'm not a good ultra runner. I'm not good at any of this stuff naturally. But the only thing I've ever been good at is stringing together consistency. What gives me the ability to do this? Because I've seen the power. I can be a complete dipshit, weak ass son of a bitch, no genetic motherfucker, small bone motherfucker, right? Sorry, guys. You can be in all the holes you want to be. But I know the power. If you string together consistency, there is magic, there is power. That's the only secret I know in life. If you want to get good at something, go, 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 go. Okay? Music. I'll give you an example of how things failed. Music. Back around, 9 years ago, I picked up the guitar again after years away, and I've never really tried to really sing, but I realized I could sing. Passively. I'm no Britney Spears, even though I look better. My mom thinks so. I realized I could sing. So I started pushing. I started taking steps and playing and writing songs and doing things. Ended up being in the studio 8, 9, 10 times. Recorded a bunch of music, 50, 60, 70, 80 songs, a lot of stuff. Played 70 to 100 shows. I took a lot of steps. I was relentless. And I got as good as I could get. And I realized that level of good had some shining moments, but I was never going to be good, right? But still, being consistent and relentless took me from, hey, I found out I could sing, to putting out some pretty darn good stuff that I'm proud of, right? Anything you want to accomplish in life, good relationship, career, business, lifting, you have to string together consistency. Big Josh Megaroids. Pre-fatigue superset, cable pullover, then pull-ups. Yeah, I like that. If you're good at pull-ups, I have no issue with that. I had a video maybe last year on the four exercise lat slammer. Like a cable pull over, like on an incline. I assume you're doing it like on an incline. You can do dumbbell pull over, cable pull over, lat prayer, lat pull down, pull up. You can do any of that. There are some people out there, I'm not going to name his name, but they're like, pre-fatigue has no value. I'm the Lord of lifting, and I command you never to do pre-fatigue, because come on. Hard training always has value. It does. It simply does. So if you find it's okay, at a point, like when you reach that late intermediate stage and you've lifted all the weights and you're pretty strong, sometimes doing the pre-fatigue stuff can take away from the intensity of the weight, but still provide some good challenges and progression opportunity. I'm all for it. Lee, due to band stuff, kids, and life, my diet and training has gone to crap. Lee, you just stepped into a pile of poop on the road. Trying to get in what I can. How would you make a workout as fast as possible? First off, I would reduce to 2 sets per exercise. And then I would look at your overall weekly volume. How many sets can you get in per week? Okay, you want to start with that. 45, 50, whatever. Then you take 2/3 of those sets and you put them on chest, back, shoulders, and legs. Okay. Let's say, Lee, you can only do 45 sets a week. You can still get great results from that. So let's say you can only do 45 sets per week. 2/3 of that will go for the major areas of focus. I hate saying major body parts because that can trigger some people, but the 4 major areas of focus: chest, delts, back, and quads. So you're going to take 2/3 of that for those. That's going to be 30 sets. The other 15 we do for bicepticons, tricepticons, and hamstrings. Now, from there, you can adjust. I want 3 more sets of traps, 2 less sets of hamstrings, whatever. You can adjust from there, but that's how you create the basic structure. Does that make sense? As far as your diet going to crap, band didn't do that. The kids didn't do that. You are putting crap in your mouth. So I'm not being hard on you, Lee. I'm just being real. Create a plan, Lee. Create a plan. What are my limitations? What can I eat during this time that's not crap? How would you apply the rep goal system to drop sets? Many ways to theoretically do things. Okay, you could use my 3s protocol, which is a top set and then 2 10% back down sets. So those aren't exactly drop sets. They're drop down sets, but I'm going to give you an example. You could still have let's say your first band, you're going to use my 3s protocol, and you're going to do 200 pounds. You're doing 200 pounds on the top set, 180 on the second, 160 on the third. You could still set a rep goal of, say, 27 or 28 for all 3 of those sets, and then add weight when you get to that. Okay, so on bench, let's say you do 2 sets with 200, and then you do a drop set, okay? I would generally do the drop set on the last set, but you could add up the reps, and when you get to a certain point, add weight. You could do that. Do I feel that's the best way? No, I don't feel you really should be worried about counting reps on a drop set, because that's like sprinkles on the ice on the icing on the cake. You really want to focus on your rep total, the main meat and potato sets, and then any extra intensity stuff you get on a drop set, just consider it a bonus. Lee, my 9-year-old is forcing me to play video games. Well, there's got to be balance, and you got to teach your you got to set the pace with your kids. They need to understand daddy needs to take care of himself too. So there needs to be some balance. I always played with my kids. I never turned them down, but there also had to be balance. Daddy also needs to lift to take care of himself. Explain to them, right? They'll get it. They need to learn these things. Okay, I look forward to playing video games with you. I also need to do this. So let's find some balance. We're going to play video games, and I'm going to get my leg workout. Kids need to learn these things, and you need to set the pace. Does that make sense? I have to go for training my job for 6 weeks. I can only do gym 1 day. I know that can be very frustrating, but I want you to take that as a challenge, okay? I want you to see what you can do. You're going to have to reduce to 1 to 2 sets per exercise. You have a limited amount of time. So you probably want to, for a season, do the exercises that don't take up a lot of your time. You might have to set aside bench, squats, and deadlifts. It's much easier to grab dumbbells and go to town. Do 2 sets of dumbbell presses, 2 sets of seated Arnold presses, 2 sets of dumbbell rows. 2 sets of hack squats. Okay, and then you got 8 sets in, and you got all your major areas. And then you could do a bicep exercise, a tricep exercise, a hamstring exercise, and maybe a little bit more fun. Maybe some more chest stuff, like a machine chest for 1 or 2 sets, machine shoulder press. You can get in good 20 sets. It might take you 90 minutes in the gym, but you can get in a good quality 20 sets, and that's better than nothing. Okay. You want to use exercises that are forgiving, that when you can come back next week, you haven't taken a hit from doing them. So that's how I would approach it. Steven, how's it going? Thanks for tuning in. What kind of workout could I do not to lose gains in the gym? Oh, that's what he just asked regarding that. You aren't going to lose gains. When you have mass, I want you to understand this. It's very difficult to lose that mass if you are training even minimally during the week. Okay? So wherever you're at right now, as long as you're training hard 1 day a week and in a well-rounded sense like I just described, you're not going to lose mass at all. Sustaining mass is very easy as long as you're doing a minimal. The Irish Hitman, thanks for tuning in. Hey, I'm about 100 kilos and 25%. Would you recommend me the 10-pound bulk and cut? If you're really good at nailing these cycles, absolutely. But when someone's on a little bit beefier end, it probably wouldn't hurt to start with a 10-pound cut and then start the cycle. 110 kilos, you have a little bit of wiggle room. You could do 10 and 10. Absolutely. Either way is fine. You just have to be willing to accept that where you're at right now, if you gain 4.5 kilos, are you going to feel too fluffy? Are you going to feel too fat? So what I would get you to consider is if you're able to do the 10 and 10s, maybe start with a 10-pound loss. So you're starting more around 95 kilos and bouncing between 95 and 100. Just something to consider. Benefits of wrist wraps. They create stability right here. The stronger you get when you're doing those presses, you got this instability, right? And this is like if you had, this is going to sound really silly. Those tubes that you get on the paper towels, those long, skinny tubes. If you put duct tape 2 of them together, you create stability, right? You create stability between the two. It's the same thing here. If you provide a wrist wrap, you provide a little bit of support. The heavier the weight gets on your presses, the more your wrists are going to be called into play. These are smaller little muscles that are really getting worked hard, connective tissue, etc. So they provide support. When do you use them? On your presses. LeBron or Curry, man, you got to give it to Curry all the way. I mean, Curry was just ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Just nailing those threes. I don't recall seeing anything like that in any game, so I got to give it to Curry. Mr. Bacon. I've been on a diet since January and lost 8. Great job, man. That's a lot of weight to lose. You're almost there, man. I recommend long-term cuts if you're obese because you got to do them for health reasons. Absolutely. What I don't recommend is long-term cuts when people are messing about. If you're not going to lose the weight, maybe you need to take a period of time where you focus on taking care of yourself with food. There's some other things we need to fix, right? If somebody's like, they can't go without having crap on the weekends and drink on the weekends, there's so many people that live in this self-induced hell where they want to look and feel better, but every weekend they're their own worst enemy. And then they spend all week feeling guilty, and then they're just constantly in this cycle of hell. It's hard to watch, really. But if you're able to nail long-term cut, get it over with. Do it. Get it over with. Just started your bench specialization program. Love it, man. Great. Let me know how you do on it. I'm going to be starting that soon myself. What's the most common question you get? I think the most common type of question I get has to do with what I posted about on Instagram this morning. Influencers confusing people, like there's specific magic rep ranges or exercises or programs, and it confuses people, and they worry so much about things that don't matter. Like the question we had earlier about the rep ranges. Somebody says it's 1 to 2 sets of 4 to 6 reps. Yeah, take that influencer and flush them down the toilet. I get a lot of confused questions because these people will hear my message, which is trying to show them freedom, and then they'll get these knuckleheads who will say something ridiculous like the optimal way to train. Like, optimal schmoptimal, dude. Have you trained for 10 years? Because if you trained for 10 years, you'd know that that's not optimal. Friendly reminder that the Premier League starts tonight. Thanks, man. I want to stay in touch. Last year it got away from me. It did. I was so moving. This time last year we were preparing to move into our new house. And it just kind of got away from me last year. Josh, Rocky 3 and 4 were equal. Yeah, just different things. Rocky 5 was pretty bad. What was Rocky 5? I can't even remember it. What is Rocky 5? I'm looking at it. I don't even remember it. Sage Stallone. What's a Sage? Tommy Morrison, Tommy Gunn. Sage Stallone. I don't even know Sage Stallone. I don't even know if I watched that movie. I'm going with Rocky 3, Fat Chick in a Barn. Wouldn't it be Rocky Road? That could be. Well played. Maybe that is too on the nose. After college, have you ever worked on math or physics research? Personal stuff. I mean, no physics research. No. Mathematics, I've done a lot of mathematical stuff, but just for personal things, personal projects, but nothing serious. Is there an Italian chocolate? I don't know. That's a good question. I don't want to offend the Italians, but Big Joe B ordered wrist wraps because you're the boss. And I do what you tell me. Good. They'll be good for you. Trust me. There's no downside. Big Mark, one of my favorite human beings on the planet. Check out Mark's YouTube and content on Instagram. Jeremy O. I need a new lifting belt. Okay. I'm going to pull this up. So hold on. There's a couple you can go with. And let me pull this up because I want to make sure I search and get the right thing. Okay, so I don't support any. This is a decent one, but there are other ones out there, so I don't want to say don't look into things. Let me present, share screen. If you're going to get a belt, this is at Strength Shop. Look for 10 millimeter single prong. There are thicker belts than 10 millimeter. You do not need it. You get a double prong. It's just harder to lock in. A single prong is much easier to lock in. This is going to be your best bet. This is a pretty reasonable price. Check out this one at Strength Shop or check out a 10 millimeter single prong elsewhere. How can a 5'10" guy like me get with a reasonable body fat currently? Strength is pretty weak. That's not weak, dude. That's pretty strong. You're a lot stronger than you think. Currently weight is, we just went over. I would really lose 4.5 kilos and just continue to do the cycle. That'll keep you in a bulk at least 9 months out of the year. You'll be able to build strength, maintain strength, and slowly improve your body composition. How many eggs should you consume in one serving? All the eggs you want. Whatever you want, man. There's no limit on eggs. There's no downside on eggs. They're micronutrient rich. Don't believe the hype, the negativity. It's all just propaganda bullshit. It's one of the eggs are a superfood. Eat all you want. Eating cholesterol from food isn't going to give you bad, nasty cholesterol. Take care of yourself. Eat all the steak and the eggs you want, full of nutrients, full of good stuff. The people with health issues are the people eating Fruity Pebbles and not exercising. That's just always remain in common sense. You know, there's going to be outliers. There's healthy people that have heart conditions and healthy people that have diabetes. But we need to focus on taking care of ourselves and eating the best possible foods. Eat all the eggs you want. The other night I had 8 with my rice. I recently changed jobs and have to work out early. First thing you need to realize is you're dehydrated and low on electrolytes first thing in the morning. Get out of bed, have at least 8 to 10 ounces of water and some sodium. Get an electrolyte pack if you can with sodium. Straight out of bed. Now, you don't want to go into your workout full, fat, fluffy, because that food's just going to sit in there and not digest normally because you're using your blood to work out. So you probably want to have something straight out of bed, like a half a banana, something that'll give you a little bit of something in the tummy, a little bit of carbotrons. Or you could just slam a protein shake and go in. Whatever you feel okay with. But the water and the sodium are the key. And then however else you feel, it could be a quick protein drink. It could be a banana protein drink. Don't overconsume food. Save the calories for after your workout. Does that make sense? What was mountain dog training? God bless him. He seemed amazing. What was mountain dog training? That was his brand name, I believe, right? I have hip stiffness. That's not my specialty, to be honest with you. I'm just a meathead that does muscle and strength building. There are a lot of, and I'm not being dismissive, but there are a lot of great voices out there that can help you with mobility and stiffness. What's going on, Big Mike T? Thanks for tuning in. Blaine Kleineman. Good morning, or good afternoon, Coach. How far do you think you can take single leg wall RDLs? I like the feel of them, but trying to think of ways to make them more brutal as I get better at them. I don't know. I haven't had a lot of people. It's kind of a new exercise I'm giving as an alternative that's not quite as lower back intense. I'd be curious if you could get to 100s. That would be pretty good. If so, we might need to just kind of set them aside or just rotate them every other week. I don't know. It's kind of new charted territory. So it's a very good question. And I'd be a liar if I knew. It's kind of just something we might have to just work out in the middle of the chaos. Carl, hello. I was supposed to do. I don't know what happened. I just wanted to say hello. No problem, Carl. Hope things are okay. Carl says, honestly, I've been very depressed lately. Can barely eat. I get it, man. We all have seasons. Try to create a structure. Try to eat something that gets your calories in, that doesn't sink your weight. Cosmic Bear. Been lifting for a while. Bulked and cut, but I've never been over 155. Currently 5'3", 20%. My strength is El Succo. Would being comfortable at a slightly higher body fit. 20%, really, I wouldn't really slip above 20 to 22. You need to do the bulking and cutting cycles, okay? And I'm going to read the second part of your. I'm not talking bloat maxing or anything, but maybe getting into the 160 range. I would, you're at 155. I'd just do the bounce back between 10-pound bulks and cuts. That's the magic way for you, man. I mean, that's absolutely, your strength goals are super reasonable. If you just do that precision with nutrition, 155 to 165, 165 to 155, or maybe go down to 150, go up to 160, go down to 150, go up to 160, whatever 10-pound range you want, that's going to keep you in a calorie surplus for the majority of the year. It's going to help you maximize your strength. It's going to improve your body composition. In my opinion, it's the best way to do things. Steve, thoughts on programming frequency for overhead pressing for a lifter who wants to specialize? You can do it, absolutely. Which variants seem best to use in a specialization? So I would definitely consider doing a seated. All right. You can do a standing and a seated, but I would at least do a seated in your specialization. Every other week, every week. You can usually use a little bit more weight on the seated. So at least use it as one of your variations. One thing I like to do is work up in 3s or 5s. Yesterday I did 135. I did my warm-ups. I did 95 by 5, 135 by 5, 155 by 5, 185 by 5, 205 by 5. I like to work up to a max 5, and then you could back down if you want. You can work up in max 3s, max doubles. You can do 135 by 2, 155 by 2, 175 by 2, 195 by 2. You can work up in 15-pound increments, 10-pound increments, but you could do doubles, triples, 5s, whatever you want. On the other day, we want to get into some more volume, so maybe we want to do the seated overhead press for volume work, and then maybe cap that off with a dumbbell variation for volume as well. But if you need more help, let me know. Med 92. I'm 5'6", 163, and asking myself whether I'm skinny fat. If you're asking yourself, maybe you are. You can send me a picture if you want. What to do? You have to do the same thing everybody else does, right? We need to attack that wisely. You can't stay at 163 and wave the magic Harry Potter wand and never gain weight and all of a sudden be at a lower body fat percentage. You have to do if you think you're skinny fat, I want you to cut to 160, cut to 155. And I want you to bounce back between 155 to 165. Do a 10-pound bulk over 4 to 5 months, cut back down. Do a 10-pound bulk over 4 to 5 months, cut back down. All you can do is that. The people that aren't doing that are just kind of staying in limbo, that's the average guy in the gym. No focus. You need to focus. So I hope that helps. Any of you guys that want more help or accountability or hands-on, sign up for coaching. It's only $89.40 a month after the first month. I will put you on the right path. What do you think about the single leg deadlift? There's a million other better exercises. That's nothing I would ever even consider. Going to the gym is not a decision. It's just something we do. Don't let it be a decision. Absolutely. You have the power to control your outcome, your fate, right? Want better teeth? Floss. Want a better body? Lift. Want to feel better and look better? Eat better. You have that control, right? Life is kicking you 7 ways to Sunday and does a lot of crazy crap, but there are many things you have control over, and don't you forget it. Big William from Facebook. Is there any noticeable difference between basic creatine and the German Creapure? There's a lot of hype, I'll tell you that much. At the end of the day, no. The research is overwhelmingly in favor of just using regular creatine monohydrate. If you want to use the German Creapure, go ahead. I've seen all the stuff as an editor. I've done all the studies. I've seen all the research. I've seen all the hype. There's no downside with using Creapure, but regular creatine is just fine as well. I honestly would tell you just to use regular and save the money for something else. Calico Riot, what do you think about my days working and splitting it into an early, late workout? Absolutely. No harm in that. I'd like to know how you're training. Because one thing you can do is you could do chest at night and then rest, sleepy pee-pee, and then do shoulders in the morning. And then at night, you could do back, and then in the morning do biceps, right? So you don't just have to, you can have some space in between. Sometimes having a little rest in between is good too. You could do it either way. So however you do it, that's reasonable. You can certainly do that. Good morning, big hairy ugly dude. On isolation sets, curly whirlies, should I work with 85%? No. There's no need to. You want to improve your bicep strength and size, I would not go that high. We're looking at 5 rep sets. Don't do that. You're going to jack up that bicep tendon. Let's be a little bit safer. Use 8 reps at the lowest. You could occasionally do a 6 rep set if you want and then do drop downs. That's okay. But don't do all your sets down there. No way. What's the deal with clicking joints? I don't know, man. Could be a little bit of a tendon during inflammation, clicking over something, or some sound in your bones. I thought it was some sound related to bone fluid or something. I don't know. I've had it in my knees forever. I don't pretend to be an expert, and I probably sound super ignorant on it, but I am. If it's not bothering you, don't worry about it. You know, just if you're worried about it, see a doctor. From my experience, any ideas to avoid minimize the calluses on palms from dumbbell work? It's going to be gloves or nothing, really. I mean, you could tape. You could use tape if you don't want to use gloves. You could use like the tape people wrap their fingers with, and you can wrap right around that area. But other than that, that's about all you got. You could consider that. You could wrap around here, and then maybe mildly between your fingers to kind of create a little bit of a structure. You're just creating a tape glove at that point. Not to be personal, but I know you lost a considerable amount of weight. Yeah, no, I've talked about loose skin before. I've actually made a video about loose skin. I do have some loose skin underneath here, underneath my armpit. I have a little bit of loose skin on my belly. You know, I've not been shy about that at all. That's anybody that loses 100 pounds is going to get a little bit. I've considered having surgery to remove it, but it's a lot of money and a lot of downtime. So you can't tighten it up without surgery. You know, just always know that. After I finish my cut, do I need to go maintenance? No. There's no reason. Always remember this. Staying at maintenance is staying at limbo. That's the land of no gains, right? There's no benefit at all. None at all. It's not going to amplify the bulk. All it does is wasting time. That's all it's doing is wasting time. Last set, guys. Last call. I'm going to hop on after this. We had an amazing session today. A lot of wonderful questions. So last call. Get your questions in now or else I'll hop off. On the first set of a dynamic double progression, DDP, with a progression indicator of 7 reps. Some days I dip into the lower. After you bump weight, if you're dipping that low, I would probably increase. I'd like to know what's going on. Is this with the same weight? Are you seeing a variance with the same weight? Because that wouldn't be a good thing. That might be an indication that something might be wacky with your nutrition. If you go from like 7 and then add weight and you're going to 3 or 4, we might have to bump the progression indicator on the first set, if that makes sense. All right, guys, that is it. Thank you. After increasing, he said, sorry. Yeah, I would probably bump the progression indicator up, especially with dumbbells. I'd probably go with like no harm with going like 9, 11, 13 or 8, 10, 12 or something like that. I'd bump them up. But as long as you're progressing, you're going to be okay. I would just bump that top one up a little bit. All right, guys, that is it. Please head over to Instagram and follow me on @BenTheBarman. You can always slide into my DM. I want you guys to, as well, please come over and join my community, teammassiveiron.com, teammassiveiron.com. And if you need coaching or lifting apparel, anything, I appreciate it. I'm just a small content producer and a small business, but every small purchase helps, so I appreciate it. I'd love to work with you on coaching. I keep some of the cheapest rates in coaching, and I was voted the coach of the year. I beat out 400,000 other online trainers. Not pat myself on the back. That's just the award I won. I give my all for my clients. I'm there with you every single day. If you need help, reach out. I'd love to help. Thank you, guys. Have a wonderful weekend and keep going strong. I will see you guys next week.
It's not almost over. It's not almost over. You're not almost there. You're not almost there. You're not almost there.
Do you think this wasting time might have mental benefit? I think it could have mental benefit. I mean, you can do whatever you want. If you feel you need a mental break, then take it. Just always know that time in limbo is time in limbo.